Everyone knows the band Nickelback. Some love them, but a lot seem to hate them. But how did they become such an infamous band? And why are they so hated by so many people? Well, here today on Records and Rants, we're here to answer that question. My name is Ice, and with me, as always, is Dixon. How are you?
Ice, great to be back. Yeah, Nickelback gets a really bad rap. You know, it's something we've discussed on and off the show. So, interesting to dive in and see what the prognosis is.
Yeah, no, they really do, and it's kind of an interesting story when we start to look at their songs, look at a lot of their past songs. It's kind of a crazy ride. But guys, before we get into that, we want to say thank you so much for all the new subscribers. Up to 53 now, Dixon. That's pretty crazy.
We've cracked the half a century mark.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
On subscribers. So thank you. That's great. It's a huge milestone. 50 subs is big. I remember we used to slum it with 8-9 subscribers for like 8 months.
I know. It was crazy. So we really appreciate that. And a lot of our new fans are from our video, Are the Smiths the Greatest Band of All Time, which was honestly probably one of my favorite videos to make. So I just want to go into some of these comments. So first, we have X Fool's Gold X. He says, first-time listener from Eastport in the UK, new subscriber to your channel. Love the Smiths and Morrissey music. I'm not sure I'm a fan of Morrissey, the man, but the music is great and still sounds excellent today. Now, what do you make of that? Now, first of all, I agree with him. I mean, obviously, I was the one that was saying that. I think that the Smiths are probably one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the perfect way to sum it up. Is that I think that's what you should do in a lot of these cases. You separate the art from the artist, and then go from there if it really, really bugs you. But this guy from the UK, I mean, he knows what he's talking about. I mean, that's Smith's territory. That's
100%.
That's quite the compliment from this guy. So shout out, thank you.
Yeah, and we got Devout 666. He says, "Yeah, I know, a little.
Don't want to get into
don't want to get into the numbering or anything." But he says, "Yes, nobody comes close," and that was, of course, in reference to our Smiths video. So again, it seems like a lot of people are all about the Smiths, and just one more here, the Erratic Collector. I watched this video as a Smiths fan, and it came up as a suggestion. The discussion reminded me of a comment I read last week. Before the rise of social media, no one wanted to appear stupid. Now everyone doesn't care and quite openly advertises their stupidity for the world to see.
Yeah, well, that's pretty spot on.
Yeah, no, I think so too. But overall, I get the sense that a lot of people are getting suggested this video based on their being fans of the Smiths. So I'm really glad that they found that video based on that, because I don't know. I hope they enjoyed our discussion and me just diving into the Smiths for the first time.
Yeah, that was that was definitely one of our more fun videos to make, because for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Ice has a fairly limited catalog of music exposure, and I thought we would go exactly in the opposite direction with the Smiths once you listen to them for the first time.
Yeah, and I'm really glad he did, because for the first few episodes of me listening to the albums, your album assignments, they were a little rough, okay? I mean,
it was a tough road to get through. It was probably why we had 9 subscribers. Not just this is the worst. This is the worst thing I've ever heard. This sucks.
Yeah, a lot of I hate this. I can't believe maybe listen to this. It was a lot of that.
We might have to separate. We might be a good thing. We might have to separate out our discussion of the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds and put that as a separate little clip, because that was kind of buried in one of our first episodes. But if you're interested in any of Ice's hot takes, that would be a really good video to listen to. Because I think you have an idea where it's going, and it was a negative response, if you can believe that. But hey. Right. I mean, we all can't be, appreciate genius, and I get that. But it is what it is.
All right. I've had enough of this. I'm getting off the show.
It's over. Me and Devout 666 Star are gonna have to take it over.
Yeah, you guys take it from here. I'm done.
No.
You know what though, Dixon? I have to say, I almost did quit the show for what we had to do this week, and I don't want to play my hand too much, but. I do have a nuanced take on this, and today, of course, we're talking about I'm going to call them infamous, because they kind of are anymore. The infamous band Nickelback.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this kind of BTS, Dixon and I, and I'm sure if you listen to our episodes up to now, we've always kind of hinted at us coming to this episode. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was just kind of listen to the songs. Just listen through some of the albums. There were no handpicked songs, no handpicked albums, but just listen to them, listen through their discography, and just try to figure out what we think about them.
It's absolutely true, and I think it's worthwhile because we discussed, I think, kind of a similar take and idea with when we broke down Tame Impala.
Yeah.
Is there a psychological component to Tame Impala? And what I was surprised, do you mind if I just list a couple things I was surprised about when I did a cursory?
No, absolutely, go for it.
I didn't realize they were from Canada.
I didn't either. I was like, what? I had no friggin' idea.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to do like a really quick run through on some of their stuff, and they're from Canada. They've been around since 1995,
which also blew my mind. Like,
no, it's amazing. It's incredible. So this is right. Like, this is like the first paragraph of Wikipedia, which I thought was wild. Nickelback is one of the most commercially successful Canadian rock bands, having sold more than 50 million albums worldwide. In 2009, Billboard ranked it the most successful rock group and the 7th most successful artist of that decade.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, and then How You Remind Me, which came out then, was the best-selling rock song and the 4th best overall for that decade from Billboard. That's insanity. It's amazing.
I was shocked in reading that too. You know, and then I thought about it. I'm like, well, how many rock bands are there from Canada? Like, what's the competition?
Right. Well, it's true, and especially in their genre. Which, by the way, on Wikipedia, they have like 17 different genres: post-grunge, hard rock, pop rock, alternative metal, alternative rock, and then there were grunge at one point when they first started.
Which is also interesting because I'm going to be honest, when I was listening to their music, it kind of all sounds the same. I'm not picking out 17 different genres. I'm kind of picking out one singular genre.
The Nickelback genre.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's amazing.
That's so funny though. But yeah, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, they have. And I guess Neil Young is some pretty good competition up there from Canada, which I forget that he's from Canada too. But I mean, like you said, in the era of Nickelback, I completely agree with you 100% on they all sound the same. And the thing is they've had a lot of hits. I think they're one of those bands that you can go see and you would know like 90% of their songs, I think. I
kind of think that goes to the reason why they're so popular today, because I feel a huge disconnect between, now I don't know if you watch any of their live shows, Dixon, but a disconnect between what they do live and what they do in studio. And in the respect to the performance, and I know you can't really get the stage presence of the performance from an album, but regardless of what you think about Nickelback, and we'll get into what we think, but I believe that they put on a pretty killer live show if you like them, you know?
Right. No, yeah, I saw a couple clips too, and I think they were decent if you're. And yeah, and I wanted to make the point because we talked about this before, and you and I were lucky to grow up in an area where there were kind of a couple different music venues.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we would go to concerts that we really couldn't care less about just because there was something to do and people were going and it was like a tailgate and that kind of thing.
Yes.
And I guarantee you if Nickelback showed up, that place would 100% sell out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I wonder if that's due to the fact of the demographic around the area or what it is. You know, I actually looked up some articles. I said, who actually goes to a Nickelback concert? What are the demographics of people that go there?
Right.
And it kind of seems like I looked on Reddit. Some people say douchey, like mid-20s guys, some younger kids, and then some women in their 40s that like used to listen to Creed. That's kind of the consensus of the kind of crowd that you're going to get. You know, kind of like the people that that go to a dive bar every single day of their lives. Like that's kind of the people I think that you would see there.
Yeah, I could see that too. And you mentioned a good point about Creed. I think Creed has gotten some hate, but they're not as actively hated as Nickelback, and they're kind of on the same plane. I think Creed is like a pseudo-religious, like a pseudo-Christian band. I think if I'm correct.
Yeah, and it is.
Yeah.
And I know that they're kind of a meme too, but yeah, they don't get as much hate as Nickelback, and in looking through this, I don't know, maybe there is a reason for that, but I guess going away from their live stuff, so like we said, they started in 95 and their first album was in 1996, and this was called Curb. And I don't know how much you listened to it, but I found some interesting information on it. So the Rolling Stone album guide gave it a 1.5 stars out of 5. And
really?
said it was generic and got the band nowhere. Which
no,
what were you gonna say?
I listened to that album, and I listened to it, and it's like the thing with Nickelback's music is it's like it's so accessible. It's not like it's heavy. You're not thinking about anything.
Yeah,
it's like you put it on, you hear it. I thought Curb was softer and also more intense than a lot of their like mid 2000s stuff, if you know what I'm saying. The song, what was the song? I gave it a screenshot. I wanted to mention it because it started out really like kind of like a soft. They were talking about how they were kind of a grunge band.
Yeah,
like they had that grunge kind of feel to it, but it was Leader of Men, I believe. Leader of Men. Yeah,
okay,
Leader of
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no,
sorry,
no,
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, and I actually wrote a note down about another song called Detangler, which also had a more. It's kind of more like a almost bouncy kind of guitar rhythm. It was almost like ska or something with the guitar rhythms that you'd hear out of like Sublime. Like
yes.
Yeah, it was like something you'd hear out of there. Of course, it was like a little more heavy, a little more rock focused, but it was actually kind of surprised, but it still had that Nickelback sound to it.
Correction before the Nickelback stands get in our comments.
Okay.
Leader of Men was one of their early songs. It was not on Curb. However, it was on the album The State. And the songs I listened to on Curb, like you said, it's amazing because Chad Kroeger lists Bob Marley and reggae influences when it comes to making their music, and it never really dawned on me until I heard the early stuff. And it had that, like you said, that ska, that Sublime feel, but also some of that like Nirvana, like Pearl Jam at times. I thought it was decent and better than like the Spider-Man era Nickelback.
Yeah, the Spider-Man era.
That's yeah. Right.
See, I think I will say this: listening to their early albums was very difficult for me. Whatever genre you want to call this,
right?
I did not like it. In fact, I would go as far as to say I hated it. I would rather listen to The National on repeat, I think, than having to listen through Curb and The State. Even Silverside that they released in 2001. I think I'd rather listen to The National on repeat than this. I'm not even. It was
Silverside wasn't good.
No. I mean, that was kind of them trying to step into the modern era and like I guess kind of leave the grunge era behind, but they still kind of couldn't.
Right.
I mean,
it was kind of a mess.
It was absolutely a mess. And to sum up these earlier albums, I think that they were just not good. I think you have this is kind of interesting. Rolling Stone called it a transposable power ballad, which is very interesting because all they're playing is these driving power chords, which can be transposed into any single song that they play, and it's
so true.
It's the same thing over and over. It's like da, 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 and it's just that rhythm, that guitar, the drums, it's just all the same, and it's painful. I mean, that may be a little subjective on my end because I don't really even like this kind of music, but damn, it was tough for me.
Yes, that once they started to get into, and that was like they started to, like you said, get into that modern edge, that straight up like you said, what the genre could be, like early 2000s pop rock, like
Yeah.
rock with like a, it's like it's not hard rock, but it's not, I don't, it's not metal. It's
No.
like it's
No,
made
it's
for radio rock. It's made for radio,
yeah.
like, hard rock. And yeah, they started to get, start to get into that. And there's a theory on how they sort of got into that sound, and it's when in 1999 they signed with Roadrunner Records,
Yeah.
and they said that Roadrunner was founded in the 80s to be kind of like the um, breeding ground, the next great edition of like metal bands, hair bands, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it seems like they were going to hit it big with Roadrunner, and it was just, okay, well, we have to do this, or they want us to do this. I think they kind of had a formula that they were either instructed to follow, or they said, well, let's do this and we're going to sell records and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they were kind of given something. And also, this is kind of interesting, and this is from good old Chad Kroeger. This is in 2001. I don't know if you saw this quote, but I want to read it really quick because it's kind of instrumental into where Nickelback goes from here after the earlier album. So in 2001, Chad Kroeger stated he started studying every piece of music, everything sonically, everything lyrically, everything musically, down to the chord structure. He said, I would dissect every single song I would hear on the radio and think, why did this do so well? So this kind of, and I think this is prophetic of what happens, because I feel like Chad Kroeger starts to say, well, hey, our grunge crap isn't working. It's, whatever, it's all the same. What makes a song so great? He's like taking the Mr. Beast approach to YouTube, and Chad's doing it musically. He's just saying, okay, let's break it down into a formula. Screw writing what we want to do. What makes a song a good song? What's going to make these songs a hit?
Right.
And I think that leads into The Long Road, released in 2003, and then All the Right Reasons in 2005, which was their biggest albums.
That was it. That was huge. You could pick out those two albums, and the songs. Photograph, Far Away, Rockstar, Someday.
Yeah,
like,
Animals.
Knows all those songs. Yeah, Animals. it's so funny.
I know.
And you know what? I think the worst part about that is, I think they're catchy songs.
Yes.
I think they're catchy songs.
I 100% agree with you, and it doesn't matter. And that's how I know the markings of a quote unquote good song, because even if I don't like the genre, I could listen to this song and be like, oh, that's catchy. I like the music, I like the production. And we go on a lot about production on this show, but I think the production they got it down pat.
Yeah, 100%.
In this singular era of Nickelback. So
yeah. It's like subliminal messaging that it makes, like, it's
right.
If there's a psychological component he's employing, it's like, oh, okay, I can listen to this. And they also maybe still have their core Nickelback edge that they try to work in there,
Right. I think it was like you said. I think you got Roadrunner telling them what to do. I think you got Chad saying, okay, well, what makes this song good? And then he's still trying to influence the songs with the Nickelback aspect. And all of that combined, I guess, was some kind of lightning in a bottle that they had, that they just released song after song after song that was just played on the radio nonstop. I mean,
yes,
if you were in school or high school at the time, like, you heard this it was on everyone's radio. Everyone had these songs. So I think
100%.
I think that was it.
It's funny because
go ahead.
No, make your point.
This is kind of tangential to everything, but I don't know if you noticed, but during this era, 2003 to 2005, you had some pretty estrally degrading songs towards some women. Like
that's what I read. I read that take on it, and I really kind of surprised to hear that.
Yeah, no, in the song "Figured You Out." The lyrics are, "I love your pants around your knees, my hands around your neck, and the white stains on your dress."
Oh boy,
Getting
that's a little
getting
that's graphic.
getting a little graphic there. I mean, it's just funny how you have the grunge, and then it's just like, oh well, I'm also going to talk about this woman who I think is a whore.
Jeez, it's true. It's amazing,
Hmm.
and that's actually a pretty good article. That was on this Mia.com, and they give a couple reasons, and one of the ones I pointed to, one of the reasons why that Nickelback kind of has been so hated. We start out with, if we go back to our Tame Impala video,
Yeah.
we talked about how Tame Impala, we had a theory, you and I had a theory. We kind of said, we think that Tame Impala is popular or likable, or people like them because people like them, because they're popular.
Yeah.
There's that psychology, and we said that their fan base is kind of a limited demographic, just like Nickelback. They are insufferable with the vinyl releases and the
Yep.
T-shirts and the posters and the live tracks and everything else. Tame Impala is nothing but an indie Nickelback. It's for a different demographic, I think.
Wow.
And I think when you have that psychology component, that psych component of I'm liking them just because people like them and I should like them, I think that applies to Nickelback, and just the opposite. They're hated and I hate them because the internet tells me I have to hate them. And that article you were just bringing up, they were saying it's on. I remember the show on Comedy Central, Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, and one episode, comedian Brian Posen brought up a study that tied violent lyrics to violent behavior. He quipped, "No one talks about the studies that show that bad music makes people violent. Like listening to Nickelback makes me want to kill Nickelback." And from there, that was kind of like one of the first on TV on mass communication where they were kind of like talked S upon,
Yes. So that was like the genesis of all of it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And it's interesting because, like I said, I think there's that psychology component that, okay, well, everybody hates them, so I have to hate them. I remember, and I was going to tell the story just before, I remember being in 8th grade, and there was like, I had like that, they had cubby holes.
Oh yeah.
And this is like one of these things, like we were kind of, this is like the internet is just coming up. There was still TV. Like, it wasn't like we didn't have Reddit, and we didn't exchange memes. There was no texting, whatever.
Right.
There was backpacks along the wall in a cubby, and
I loved it. Simpler times.
yeah, similar times, exactly. And there was noise coming from a backpack on the floor, and this is a true story. I didn't make this up. And we said, "Oh my gosh, it's this backpack. The CD player that this kid has in his backpack is playing. A button must have got bumped or something." So 3 or 4 of us went over to investigate, and you could hear it coming through the headphones. And we pop open the CD player to stop it, and it was a Nickelback CD.
Oh,
and I remember the one kid goes, "Nickelback." And we just kind of laughed for a minute and shut off the CD player. But like, that was like, how old are you in 8th grade? Like 13, 14?
Yeah.
I guess.
And even then, the kids were like, "What the hell? Why are you listening to Nickelback?" Oh my god, that's so funny.
And I think it's like, and it's funny because, like, I'll just say this right now. The kid that had the Nickelback CD, he kind of grew up in the woods. His dad owned a body shop. It was a different, a very limited demographic of music that they find, appealing, different demographics. And the same thing for Tame Impala. You're not going to find a very talented auto mechanic at a Tame Impala concert. Maybe you will. I don't know.
No, 100%. That's exactly. You're exactly right.
Yeah, but I think that I think the overriding thing is once you become a meme, once you become spoofed, once you roasted, it's hard to return from that. And it's I think so prevalent now that you just have to hate Nickelback just to hate Nickelback. Just like there's a huge portion of Tame Impala fans that I think like Tame Impala because people like Tame Impala.
Yeah, that was excellently put. Seriously, I think you have a great point there. Nickelback has just become a meme. It is popular to hate on them, like you said, just like it's popular to like Tame Impala just because people like them.
Right.
But do you think, now in all of that, do you think there's any genuine valid criticism for Nickelback though at the same time? Do you think that some people actually do hate them because they're bad, or what do you think? I
think what kills Nickelback, and it didn't kill Nickelback from their perspective, is that I think they work in a very very limited, very niche genre, and I think it's one that you probably like seek out. Like you go to, I've been to hard rock shows, things like that. They have these devoted fans that have the T-shirts and
Oh
the
yeah.
bumper stickers, and they they record and stuff. I think when you had that moment of crossover appeal for Nickelback, and people heard it on the popular radio station alongside hip hop and bubblegum stuff and maybe some like really, really early pop country, I think it was just like, what the hell is this? And why am I
Yep.
being forced to listen to it? I think when you had that crossover, it just kind of gave people a bad taste in their mouth. At the same time, I think if you're just listening to pop radio, just kind of seeing what's out there, if that song came across and you didn't know who Nickelback was, I'm like, okay, this is catchy. Like we said
Yeah.
before, it's catchy. We can like it. But once again, the valid criticism is it's it's the Nickelback genre. They sound the same.
Yep.
Um, it's not too. The lyrics aren't all that deep. They might be,
Nah.
like you just indicated, actually violent at times.
Yeah.
And they really haven't evolved all that much. There's no like, okay, we're going to try this or we're going to do this. It's been like the same kind of thing since the early 2000s.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the big thing. And I think the way that I look at it is the valid criticism that I have is that they haven't evolved, and in my mind, Nickelback, it's just generic. Everything
Mm-hmm.
in that they're all
Perfect
the same.
Word. Perfect.
Yes. It's generic. It only appeals to a small clique of people, a small demographic. But I cannot sit here and say, and this is big, but I cannot sit here and say that they're bad. I cannot say that they're a bad band. I think
I don't think the same thing. Yeah.
I think they can perform. I'm not going to say that they're the best in the world. I won't even say that they're good. In my mind,
Right.
in my mind, they're decent, maybe mediocre. I haven't really figured that out yet, but I think just the fact that they put on a good live show might elevate them above mediocrity. But
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, all from 1996 up to the present day, it's been the same damn thing over and over again. They had their one shot. They came out with that Photograph song, and then I don't know what happened after that. They dropped the ball. They just stuck with the Nickelback genre.
They've been downhill ever since Photograph came out. It was over.
Yeah, that was it. And that's saying something when Photograph is your top. But I think the lyrics, they're just, it's so frustrating because, again, it's a mixed bag for me. The only songs that I like are the ones that were popular, and that's really it. I'm
with you.
And I've listened to a lot of these. I've listened all the way up to Feed the Machine from 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I put a note. No one knows any of these songs.
Exactly.
Which is true. And then if you look at the Metacritic scores for all these more recent albums from 2011 on, they're all low. They're all under the hundreds. We got 50s, we got 49s.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it hasn't been good for them, which begs the question, why are they still around making music? Because they do still produce albums relatively frequently. Which is crazy.
You're right. It's so funny because I think, going back to Photograph, like I said, after Photograph, nobody has any idea. And it's amazing because that was the peak of their career. I mean, if a peak that should have continued upward the way that things were going.
Yeah.
And Photograph, I like Photograph. I think it's catchy. I think that could be a nominee for one of the worst songs ever written. Not because it's Nickelback. It's catchy, but the lyrics are so stupid.
They are.
It's lyrics, right?
Yes.
And it's amazing because Photograph has been very heavily memed. And I think that it's more of a meme now. And even if you listen to the song, you can't see anybody who just listened to Photograph out of the blue say, like, there's no way this is serious. This has got to be like a joke. This has got to be the meme of the meme. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
So did you listen to, or did you happen to after you get through that much of the catalog, I can imagine you were probably spent. But,
I really was, Dixon. What's
they have a new album out. It came out in November. And it's
really?
Get Rolling. was
I
released on November 18th.
Full disclosure, I did not listen to this album.
So I listened to a couple songs on it. Metacritic score is 71 with 5 reviews.
Wow.
User score is 5.8. So Kerrang rated it an 80. This is a great rock album built on its creator's own terms and delivered with musical flash, songwriting panache, and at times immense force. Excuse me.
Wow.
Now this is interesting too. Now because this is just something you just kind of touched on. As with their 9 albums before it, 9 albums. I mean, 9 albums.
Yeah.
Get Rollin' is crafted to satisfy their fan base, which evidently has been very loyal to Nickelback, rather than to pick up new but casual admirers.
Here's one is crazy.
Here's one from the Telegraph. Here's from Telegraph. This is actually this is a 40. Their 10th studio album kicks off in fine form with the first single, San Quentin. If only the album was like this, but instead listeners will get whiplash from all the genre changes, which spans American rock, country, and frat boy pop. that's something else. That's something to consider because we talked about how they kind of were in the Nickelback genre, and now it seems like they're back to where they were before, all kind of over the place.
I'm disappointed that I didn't listen to this because it sounds kind of interesting. But would you say there's any hits off of this album?
So I listened to San Quentin, and I listened to Days Like These.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a Foo Fighters song. Those Days, it's called.
Yeah.
And San Quentin, like the one we just I just read, San Quentin is, I think, a decent song.
Okay.
San Quentin and Those Days both have this. It reminded me of some of the Curb stuff. I like how we're discussing this like a really seasoned Nickelback.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, like we know everything about them.
Yeah, so San Quentin and Those Days to me remind me of you have. That's absolutely this kind of this country, not a twang, not even that you would know you're listening to country, but like a vibe, like a rural roots vibe at times. And then it was kind of into that grunge period, a little bit of softer lyrics. Chad Kroeger isn't screaming at this point. And then you have like this barrage at times of like grunge, heavy metal, new metal all in your face at once. And that's absolutely spot on. Like I feel like that's exactly 100% way to sum it up. San Quentin, I think, is a decent song. If you're a Nickelback fan, I think it's a decent song. That's their leadoff single. I haven't heard it anywhere, but I think it's a decent song.
That's so it's overall you have that good song and then you have whiplash is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Telegraph review said, and it's absolutely spot on because it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know. There's such an enigma to me in that they have the ability. They have the ability, but they just don't. It's
that's so true. That's absolutely right. Technically proficient, if you would say.
Yeah.
One of those phrases that we've heard a lot.
We've heard it enough. But no, I think they are technically proficient, and it just begs the question: where do they go from here? And I think they're just gonna keep making music. They're never gonna stop. They have their diehard fans. They're gonna continue on being the meme, and they're just gonna ride off that popularity, whether it be negative or positive. I think both of those combined give them the push forward that they need to survive. Because I don't think if they were memed or it became such a cool thing, quote unquote, to hate them, I really think they would have died off after that album in 2005, and that probably would have been it.
Oh, 100%. And there's a scene in the Elvis movie. I think it probably happened in real life. They were making Elvis merch. Like the button would say I love Elvis. Mm-hmm. And then they made a button that said I hate Elvis. Both brilliant. Licensed. Yeah. It's a licensed to Presley Estates. And the thing is regardless of how they feel about being a meme or not, evidently that's gaining them some traction. And evidently they still have their fan base. Nobody really cares if you're a Nickelback fan. They're loving this. They're all about it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they've embraced it by now. There's no way that they can't know that they're kind of the laughing stock of many people online. But I mean, honestly, what do they care? They're probably selling. Well, I don't know if they're selling out stadiums, but they still have a diehard fan base, and they come to see their songs, regardless of what the general online community thinks about them, and the general public. To be frank,
because they've been, like you said, they're one of those bands I think you can go see and know 90% of their songs.
Yeah,
and there's this article I found. This is, I think, a link from Wikipedia, Loudwire. And Chad Kroeger suggests that members of the band Def Leppard and the members of the band AC/DC approached Chad Kroeger and said, "Really, we really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the torch because we were the most hated bands in the world for many years."
Really?
Yes, and Def Leppard, not to be misogynistic, not to be misogynistic, but it's kind of like girl heavy metal. Like it's girl heavy metal.
Sure. I get what you're saying.
AC/DC, I don't know how anybody could listen to AC/DC and think that's good music.
Really? You don't like AC/DC?
Once again, if they're out and I'm there, I think you and I saw an AC/DC tribute band the one time.
Yeah, we did. That was a great time. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was awesome. But I think if you're an AC/DC fan, it's just not my thing.
I totally understand what you're saying because I'm in the aspect with them as I am with Nickelback in that I like AC/DC because I like the catchy songs that they have. Anything else, I don't know. I'm not an AC/DC fan, but I like the songs that I like. And I feel like a lot of people are like that with Nickelback too.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's like, once again, those moments of crossover from their niche genres to popular music, popular radio, that kind of thing. But I think it sounds like, based on this, that Chad Kroeger, in reality, I mean, if you're in a hard rock band, you're a rock musician, to be alongside the likes of Def Leppard and AC/DC, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Definitely.
In reality.
Yeah, definitely. I think, maybe I jumped the gun on this, but they probably do have sticking power for quite a while, I would say. Yeah. I don't think that they're going anywhere, but my God, they're just they're stale to me, honestly. And that's the thing. Yeah. I think Nickelback is more annoying to me than they are bad to me. I don't want to hate them, but I just kind of do, because it's just to me it's the same tired thing over and over again. And maybe I'll get a new look on them if I listen to the new album, or at least that one single song, San Quentin. But other than that, I mean, I'm done with Nickelback for a while. I can't listen to them for another single minute after what I did pretty much all afternoon.
You've had enough Nickelback. And speaking of Get Rolling, if you want to check it out, this is the sum up from Loudwire. The tide seems to be turning for Nickelback of late in the ramp up to their new Get Rolling album. There's been positive buzz behind the heavy new single San Quentin, while Those Days has provided a nostalgic feel for listeners.
Wow.
And I didn't realize this is their first album in 5 years. So they took a break, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, for God's sakes.
Now they're back. But like you said, I really didn't even know Nickelback was still around.
I didn't either. You know what it could possibly be why they took the break? Did you know that the lead singer had to get a cyst removed from his vocal cords?
Oh, geez. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, I am too. But I think it's him with that raspy voice that I feel like he forces sometimes. I feel like it's probably why he had that. I mean, you can't sing like that constantly and not have something happen to your cords.
Yeah, it is a big force job. It sounds like at times. Like he's just going for it. And that maybe explain the softer vocals that I've heard on the new album.
No, it very well could be. I mean, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? You come back from adversity, but the verdict hasn't shifted for us, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I really, and we always say this. We come into these things with an open mind, just like we did with Tame Impala, and everything else that we listen to. And I really try to listen to this, and I'm sure you did too, Dixon. Just listening to this I don't care about what the buzz is, that they're a meme or whatever. I wanted to just understand why some people hate them. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I have an answer, really.
Yep.
No, I don't know why they're so hated. I mean, I know you mentioned that it just became popular when it was dropped in popular media. But overall, the only answer that I could think of is probably because it's just popular to hate them.
That's what it is. I think that's what it comes down to. It's that psych component, and then once something becomes a meme or becomes, like I said, it becomes spoofed, it's just like, oh yeah, these guys suck,
right?
And why do they suck? Well, nobody can really tell you why. Like you just said, nobody can tell you why. They just do. And I guarantee you, once again, they come to a venue by where we live, where we grew up, it would sell out immediately, and there'd be, I don't know, 10,000 people that knew the lyrics to, like I said, 90, maybe 75 to 90% of these songs.
Absolutely,
And
100%.
they're, yeah, and they're, like I said, they're catchy. Their mid 2000 Nickelback is catchy. I mean, to delve deep in the catalog is definitely an acquired taste, but
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's.
wasn't opposed to it.
I kind of was. I think I was more opposed than you were, especially with the earlier stuff. Again, that's probably me being subjective because it's just kind of music that I don't really like,
Yeah, I'm with you.
and I kind of pointed to a certain demographic of people that I might not relate with, but
Sure,
maybe,
sure.
maybe in some ways, maybe not. But at the end of the day, I don't think that they're a bad band. They just annoy me because
Yeah.
they are the Nickelback genre, and that's all it is. And it's just not really for me. But
No, it's not my cup
yeah,
of tea either. You
yeah,
know, I'm not gonna say I hate them. Like I said, are they annoying? Yes. Is it music I would seek out? No. Do I think, like I said, some of their stuff is catchy? Absolutely, I listen to
yeah.
it. Now, here's the big question. Sorry, not to cut you off.
No,
You
sure.
wanted to make a point.
No, no.
Here's the question.
I had nothing to say as usual.
Here's the big question.
Yeah.
On the ice rating scale,
Oh, here we go.
I would let's just take a big old generic slice of generic Nickelback.
Yeah.
I think, considering some of the earlier stuff we listened to, I listened to the newer stuff. Everybody on planet Earth has heard mid 2000s Nickelback. Your objective rating, what do you think? And I think we're doing a scale of 1 to 10 from now on, right? After the Smiths kind of blew up that scale.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
Smiths definitely blew that one up. They were so great that I had to add more numbers to it. But
Sure.
yeah, we'll go 1 to 10, and then all the points by tenths in between. So I'm gonna say, and this is a really tough one for me, and I did think about this, but for me, Nickelback is a 5.1.
Okay. Mediocre.
Yeah, you know what? Scratch that. Scratch that.
Okay. I'm scratching it.
I'm gonna. Oh, this is so tough for me. I wanted to say 4. I was teetering on a 4.6 for a little while
Mm.
because in my mind 5 is average, and I wanted to say that they were below average, but you know what? I can't do that because I feel like there is some talent in here. I'm sticking with the 5.1.
Yeah, that's a very fair rating. That's a very fair objective rating. I'm glad the rating system got changed a little bit, which is
Oh,
perfect.
thank you, thank you.
I
Yeah,
think, I think it's a really fair rating. I think you're absolutely right. Because I can't say that they're. I mean, what would be bad? What would be,
right. That's what I'm
you know?
trying to. That's what I'm
Yeah,
striving to figure out. I'm trying to say, well, what is bad about them? And I really can't think of anything that's objectively bad about
right.
Nickelback. They have the longevity, they have the talent there, the production is good, they could perform live music. I
Yeah,
think I think the massive downfall of them is just that they stick to their power ballad rock generic crap. I think
yeah,
that's the main thing, and
yes,
they've shown that they could kind of go away from that and make some catchy songs. Maybe they just don't want to do that, but the stuff that they make is just it's kind of the same over and over again, and that's
hmm
they haven't evolved since all the
no,
way back in '95. So that's why I stick with the 5.1.
yeah. I think that's fair. I would have to give them a 5. I would have to give them. I think, like I said, I think I'm trying to think what would be like a good example of what would really be considered bad. And I think that Nickelback, like we said this whole time, they have potential. They're not the worst band in the world,
Right.
technically speaking.
Yeah.
They have albums, they have fans. Like I said, their live shows are halfway decent. They definitely have some sort of appeal, whether it be negative or positive, through the radio, through the memes. I'm thinking like a high 4s to like a 5. Be like a high like a
Yeah.
4.8, 4.9 to a 5. I think that's a spot on objective rating from both of us. I think it's true. I
Yeah.
think it's I think it is true. I think they're just annoying, but
Yep.
they're okay.
Yeah. That's just like it's okay. Again, I would never go to seek it out. I think Chad's singing style kind of grates me.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really sing. He just kind of hits on every beat. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes.
Every single inflection of every word is on a beat. He's not really singing. It's
Right.
I don't even know how he's like stepping on the music. I don't even know how to describe
That's
it.
pretty good. That's a really good way to describe it. That's spot on. That's good.
Yeah, so we'll coin that term. He's stepping on the music with his vocals, but yeah, it's
Like
just they're like I said, they're not bad. They're just annoying. That's how I would say Nickelback is to me.
Yeah, that's going to sum it up. I think that's a good place to leave it because Nickelback is Nickelback, and they're obviously never going to change.
No, they will be Nickelback forever and always.
Nickelback. It's a shame because there's a Christmas album from Nickelback.
Is what?
What do you think? You think they should do a Christmas album?
Oh my god, that'd be fantastic. I you know what? That's the funny thing. Like I would listen to that. I would 100% listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Just to hear it.
Yeah,
it's just insane. It's like Bob Dylan's Christmas album. Like you have to hear this.
Yes, exactly. That'd be fantastic. We should write to him.
We should. At Nickelback, Chad and the gang. If you guys want to sit down, let's all sit down, take a photograph together, and figure out those days, how far we went back, and then kind of how we got to here, and what we're doing and what our plan is. If you want to discuss your catalog, we'd be more than happy to, because we're in reality we're fans.
Yeah, I guess you could say we are. Yeah.
I mean, in reality, I think we're fans. I think we have just a shot as anybody to sit down with Chad and kind of pick his brain a little bit and see what the next step is.
Yeah, we'd love to
make some suggestions.
Yeah, yeah, maybe give you a little pointer.
It's just like our Tame Impala video. We were saying, maybe try something else.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like one of the more famous bands in the world. I say working
records, out. Record sales, Spotify stream, and just endless, and but we could figure this all out together.
Yeah, no, we'll figure it out. Meanwhile, us with the 53 subscribers.
You know what? 53 is impressive. We've grown this show.
That's right. The road to 100, and we're already halfway there.
More than halfway. I think we should just take a moment right now to talk about that, because you especially have seen the I wouldn't even call us middle of the road. Maybe the middle of the road mediocre YouTubers who just kind of slug it out day in and day out. Who was that guy that?
Oh my God!
Kind of said,
they were Dynamite Gizmo.
It seemed like it was kind of the trajectory of Dynamite Gizmo and where things were going to go.
Unfortunately, yeah. The Dynamite guys. If anyone's listening right now, please, I want you to go to Dynamite Gizmo and just say Ice and Dixon sent you. I want just go to the Dynamite Gizmo podcast. This guy. I have to talk about this really quick because I love talking about it for whatever reason. I don't know why. I have like an autistic obsession with this, but this guy, the Dynamite Gizmo podcast, has been making a podcast almost every week for the past like 10 years, and he has 200 subs. No one watches these videos. He gets like 10 views a video, but god damn it, this guy
his catalog is impressive.
It truly is. I mean, he makes all of his thumbnails like. He's just been going for a long, long time. He stepped away for a little while.
Yeah, and it's like 3 months ago was his last.
Yeah, but prior to that, he hadn't uploaded in a year, and everyone was wondering where he was. Well, I guess I was the only one who was wondering, but yeah, so really amazing.
It really is. I think what's important here is that what you hear, you get. Now, this is there's some editing in post. What you hear is it's us dudes just talking about what we like to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's all organic. We're not spamming people with ads. We want to share our thoughts because I think we have a pretty good perspective. Most notably because Ice has heard almost nothing in his entire lifespan up to this point, outside of Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, that's it.
And I was always trying to turn you on to some new stuff, and you were turning me on to some new stuff as well, especially when it comes to lo-fi and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah. And that's how the show kind of got to where it was, because we kind of have this idea that we're just basically, what if we just pretend like we're at the bar and we're talking, and then we record it?
Yeah, and
it
I
turns
think
out nobody really wants to do that.
yeah, like we said, like it's like the two guys talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two dudes talking. So now we talk. Well, what do we talk about? What do we talk about all the time? We talk about a lot of different things, but always what we talk about was music. And you got to listen to this, or did you hear this, or did you check this out?
Yeah.
And it really it's almost like a project for you and I, because we're discovering new things. You're definitely discovering new things. I'm discovering new things, and we're kind of all putting it together and saying, okay, what do we think? Where does this line up? And sharing it with you all.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's way more organic that way, in the fact that, you know, we hit our niche and we have the subjects to talk about. And I feel like, and I feel like the fun part about it is we're not just sitting down and talking about stuff we already know. I think it's a lot about the discovery, and, you know, you might learn something from some songs that I give to you, or I'm learning a bunch through this, and you have all the information. And I think that's what makes it really fun. Just to go back to what you said, did you say no one wants to do that, in the fact that no one wants to listen to it, or no one wanted to do? No, okay, that's what I thought.
No one wants to listen to us.
Yeah,
just kind of going on. You know, we have our significant others. They've heard it, and I know that they appreciate that early in the day. But just because it was kind of just overhearing us talk, basically how they hear it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So for a while, you know, we knew some of our subscribers.
Yeah, very intimate with their subscriber base.
Yeah, now we don't, which is great, which is awesome, and it sounds like you guys are enjoying it, and the offer still stands. Comment something you want us to listen to. You have a suggestion. If you're a Nickelback diehard, did we miss something? Any suggestions that we should delve into? No matter what, you'll get a shout out, but we also will check them out.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think that's the one benefit that we have. Like you just said, Dixon, like what we do with that, we take people's suggestions, and we'll actually do it if you say it. And I want to do this from now until we hit like 1 million subscribers. I want to always have the community interaction, because to me that's probably one of the most fun parts of YouTube.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, and we have we have the ability to do that, and we do it every week.
How lucky are we?
Oh, we're lucky. I tell you what.
How lucky are you guys to be subscribers? If you're not subscribed, as you said before, abuse that subscribe button.
Yes.
Just manhandle that like button.
Yes, manhandle, abuse it, like the actually abusive songs that Nickelback has come out with.
Yes, seriously. Cancel Kroger 2023. You've heard it here first.
You know, I'm surprised he wasn't canceled for some of those songs. They're pretty dirty.
I just discovered that same thing you were reading. I'm like, boy, I really had no idea.
Oh yeah, when you write it out, like when I was writing out the notes, I'm like, man, this is pretty filthy.
I guess because at some points the lyrics are just so bad that you're just not even listening to them. It's just kind of like a blur.
Yeah, that's you don't listen to Nickelback. Nickelback just happens in the background.
That is such a spot on take. It really is. Nickelback just happens in the background. It's so true.
Oh boy, I mean that's yeah. I'm sure they're gonna want to come on our show after they hear what we have to say about it.
Give everybody a fair shake, no matter who it is.
No, we do.
You know, and we didn't say all negative things. It's kind of our take on it, and that's it.
No, we didn't. I think in some cases we actually came to defend them, but
100%.
But yeah, overall, Nickelback, we gave you a shot, and I think the real answer is it's a little more complicated than just hating them or why people hate them. I think there's a litany of reasons. But when it comes to us, we do not hate Nickelback, and we'll go on record to say that.
Yes, Nickelback, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and we'll listen to album review for the next one that they release. We'll give it a fair and honest shake.
Sounds like a plan. I'm looking forward to it already.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week for another exciting episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.